Yes, sir, ladies and gents. Once again, we are back at it. Rooted in Sports Tuesday. So happy to be back and be a part of you guys Tuesdays as always. King Tiberius will be in shortly. All right on cue. We got old King Tiberius in here, man, and we, as always, we are excited to get going today, man. We got some really good topics, man. We're gonna get into a little basketball, talk about a little Luka. Obviously, as always, we'll get into the NFL, a little bit of college football, in particular, the USC Trojans in particular. Um, and then, like I said, we're gonna give our Week 10 recap in the NFL and Week 11 predictions. So, once again, really happy to be here with you guys tonight on this Tuesday. We're gonna have a ball. Um, Kenny, I don't see you. You good, bro?
I am good.
All right. And
You guys. Have to excuse me. I literally just got done recording another podcast. I was recording my personal podcast, so I'm a little late to the stream today. But I'm ready to go to work. Oh, new mic, by the way. Can you hear the difference?
look at God. Won't he do it?
I feel like I'm on the radio.
All right, man. Well, without any further ado, we're gonna get into this wonderful intro, and we're gonna get to the show. And just like that, we are back, man. Woo. Obviously another great week in sports. From college football to the NFL to the NBA continuing going. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it's qualifiers or what, but did the World Cup start?
The World Cup starts Sunday morning.
Starts Sunday morning. So I guess there's been a couple of qualifiers or something going on, but I've been seeing a lot more soccer going on. So obviously hockey, pretty much whatever you're into, man, it's in full effect right now. So definitely a busy time in the sports world. Obviously, as sports fans and sports fanatics, we love this time, man. And so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. And I know we're gonna start with little NBA, man, and we're gonna start off talking about one person in particular, and I really wonder, will Bo be in at some point, because he's our as far as in our sports chat or whatever, he's like our
Oh, you
resident.
invited him in? You invited him? I was about to say, you invited him in?
No. I'm just telling. I wonder if he's tuning in. He's our resident Mavericks fan. You know what I'm saying? And I know he would be really excited about this topic, because we're going to be talking about his favorite player, and obviously the best player and the leader of their Dallas Maverick team, and one Luka Doncic, and the start that he's gotten off to, and whether this can legitimately be Luka's MVP season. And I guess I'll go ahead and jump into it, man. Obviously, I think this is something that we've been seeing coming from Luka. He came into the league like a ball of fire, tearing it up. Mm-hmm. And every year he's gotten progressively better and better and better. On the season right now, he's averaging pretty much 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He's coming off, he had a triple-double in their last game, coming off a 42, 13, and 10 triple-double against the Portland Trailblazers, who, by the way, are the number one team in the Western Conference right now, surprisingly. But coming off another monstrous triple-double, and I mean, Luka's really making the NBA kind of look like he's playing against, kids right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the man, for a guy who isn't athletic at all, he's able to get wherever he wants to get on the floor. He's pretty much able to get off whatever shot he wants to get off. His confidence is supremely high. And I mean, at times it just looks like he's really just toying with his defenders, And this kind of goes to something that I've said on this podcast numerous times. A lot of these guys overseas are coming over here, and they may not be the most athletic, but they are so skilled that they always tend to make careers for themselves. And here, one could legitimately argue that the best, we can say the best three. One could legitimately argue that the top three players,
Are
maybe
all
even,
European.
are all from overseas. Maybe even four, because I'll throw another name in there. Obviously, we know Luka. Obviously, we know Giannis. You got to put Jokic into the discussion. And I'm gonna throw another name in there who isn't American either. You could argue Joel Embiid, who, by the way, is coming off of a 59-point performance. Yet another example of the difference between over here and how we're just training for our kids to be athletic, and we're drafting kids off of upside and athleticism, while over there they're really taking the time and getting back to the basics and honing their youth and their skills, and then they're getting out and playing against grown men at such an early age. So when you add the fact that they concentrate on the basics and being really skilled, with the fact that they're playing against grown men at such an early age, you get guys like a Jokic or Giannis, or in this situation who we're talking about today, Luka. And I think as far as MVP goes, right now their team is sitting at 7-5, which they're in sixth place in the Western Conference right now. Obviously, I fully expect them to make the playoffs. I expect them to be anywhere between that 3 to 6 range. They'll clearly, avoid the play-in. And I think that Luka Doncic has just as good a chance as any player in the league to win league MVP this year. I think this could very well be his year.
And you know what? You know what's funny? When we looked at the end of last year, the end of last season, when they lost to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying this. He needed that.
Yeah.
He needed that loss to taste how close he was to the NBA Finals, but to see what greatness looks like, and to see what a team looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he approached this offseason a lot differently. You saw him come in for the first time in the history of Luka in the NBA. You saw him come into the season in shape, right? I know he played some
And he
ball
played
overseas.
he played during the summer, so that
But
definitely helped the cause.
but he just looked significantly, even outside of that, they were saying he was in the gym. He had got him a little gym routine, probably cleaned up a little bit of his eating, but he looked significantly more in shape coming in. He looked more focused. So it doesn't surprise me that he's having what is his number? What's he averaging? 34 points per game?
34,
That's crazy.
8 rebounds, 8 assists. He's flirting with a triple double.
And his sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's leading the league in points per game right now. That 34 a game is leading the league in points per game right now.
Right. So, I could see this being the year too, but I also think what it's gonna boil down to a little bit, especially when you compare him to a Giannis, because Giannis could easily be an MVP this year again.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna, at some point, team success is gonna play a point. It's gonna play a part. It's gonna, it's when you're being stacked up against other guys that have team success, like a Jokic, right? Or Giannis. But how can he impact the players around him? Can he get them going and give back I think they can possibly be a top 4 seed. So I see, that's where I see
wouldn't
them
be
going.
surprised. I could see that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So if he can lead them to there, I think he has a realistic shot. But let's say they're a 7th, a 6th, or a 7th seed. I think even with his personal success, I don't see it happening for there. But if he can get the team success and continue to do what he's doing, I think he should be a surefire. Think he should be the favorite.
And then, I mean, just looking at some of his competition, obviously we mentioned Jokic, back-to-back MVP winner. We mentioned Giannis. Embiid is another guy who may be about due for an MVP, and like I said, he just put up 59 points the other day. He had it going.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Steph is always there. There's a few guys who are right there in the conversation, but I think that this may just be, Luka's time. And then, like you said, especially if he could lead them to a top 3 or 4 seed,
I
and
think
I
that's
feel like
money.
it'll be really him. Like, don't get me wrong, he has a solid supporting cast, but I'm not sure if he has a true number 2. Like,
No, he doesn't.
I like Christian. Excuse me. I like Christian Wood.
Hmm.
I like Spencer Dinwiddie. They got some nice pieces. I'm not sure if either one of them is a bona fide 2 on a winning team, but I think that's just shows the greatness of Luka Doncic
Well,
because
the
I don't think he has a real
well,
true like consistent number 2 guy.
well, the funnier part is Jalen Brunson I think, was becoming a really good Robin to his Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And what he lost in the number 2, he got in a more well-rounded team,
Yeah,
which is like the crazy. It's like, it's a give and take. Um,
I can agree with that. And like I said, I don't want to take away like I think their big signing. They brought in JaVale McGee as a rim protector, but I think their biggest signing this offseason was Christian Wood, a
right.
guy who came over from the Houston Rockets. I think he was getting about 18, 19 a game, maybe 8 or 9 rebounds a game.
Hmm.
But he's another big who, when he wants to, he will kind of rim protect a little bit.
Hmm.
He's definitely a guy who can stretch the floor. He can step out and make the three. Um, this season, although I think he's been coming off the bench mostly, this season he has shown a propensity in stretches to really be a true scoring option and really carry the load for 5 or 6 minutes at a time. So
Yeah.
I mean, once again, I think he's a really solid player. Same with Spencer Dinwiddie. We know what Spencer Dinwiddie has done in
Hmm.
this league. He's more than proven as a scorer in this league,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure if either of them, I would say they are a true like number 2 guy or a true Robin on a championship team. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if this Dallas Maverick team made it out of the West. I wouldn't pick them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did because that's just how great Luka Doncic is, and that's just how he can take a team to a next level. Them beating Phoenix last year, to me, that was just Luka. Luka,
Oh, of course.
get on
Who you
my
gonna put
back
on him?
and let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, and I think that's why I'm glad that he has put in a lot more focus and a lot more emphasis on taking care of his body, because I think you can look up and down your roster, and it's not, once again, it's not to shit on the guys that he has, because I think that they're all solid players.
Mm-hmm.
But that I'm going to have to be the guy. And I hate to make this comparison, but it's kind of like, it's almost like Michael Jordan when he played for the Bulls, that first three-peat. I mean, obviously, you had Scotty growing as a scorer, but I mean, we can go ahead and say for a large part of his career, especially the first act, he was the guy and he had role players around him. Right.
Yeah.
So Luka is going to have to adopt the same thing. Now, as far as those role players, Spencer Dinwiddie, JaVale McGee, Christian Woods. Now, Christian Woods, I think, is a little bit better than a role player, but
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have to really focus on how can we support Luka? How can we make his job easier? How can we hide him on defense?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to be they're going to have to strap. If they can't do shit else, they're going to have to strap. They're going to have to play great defense to make up for what they don't have in scoring potential. So, but once again, I love the team that he has. A better team. He doesn't have that Robin to his Batman, but I mean, who knows? Maybe that person reveals himself later on. Maybe Christian Wood catch fire, takes another step.
Yeah. And I mean, they got some guys. We've seen Max Kleber go 8 for 9 from 3 in a playoff game.
Oh,
We've seen Tim
hey,
Hardaway Jr. get hot. You know what I'm saying? They got some guys who can get Spencer Dinwiddie can get it going. They got some guys who can get it going.
Don't get both started on Maxi Kleber.
Man. But hey, and
he good.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's why I really liked the pickup of JaVale McGee too, because even in those 15, 16 minutes a game that he'll play, he'll be a rim runner, he'll be a rim protector, he'll be a rebounder, and it gives them the ability to kind of play multiple lineups. So if you want to play big against them okay, maybe they can play JaVale McGee and Christian Wood on the floor at the same time, or or vice versa if they want to go small and expose a big the way they
Right.
did to Utah last year with Rudy Gobert. They can go small with a Christian Wood at the four
Five.
and 4 or 5. Him and
5, yeah.
Max Kleber interchangeable or whatever, and they can stretch the floor. They can have five guys who can shoot the ball on the floor at one time. So I mean, they're a team that can do a lot of things with that. Like, although they don't necessarily have that number 2 guy, they are a really solid team, and they are a team that can do a lot as far as with their lineups.
And you could argue that since he doesn't have that number 2 guy, that I mean, and you know, this isn't saying that he's not efficient because I think Luka's very efficient, but he's going to get a lot of scoring opportunities. He's going to have that. Whereas you look at a Joel Embiid, you know, even if this guy is past his prime, he's going to have to share the ball with a James Harden.
Oh yeah, James Harden's their primary ball handler.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So Embiid, they have to get him the ball. You know what I'm saying? Vice Luka is their ball handler, playmaker, scorer, their best player.
He's their all everything.
So he's gonna make the decisions for the team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luka for MVP, man. I think he can do it. I think he can do it this year.
You know how we. First of all, me and you are both very high on Luka. We feel like he's easily a top 3 player in this league. Special.
All cap.
Look, special without a lick of athleticism, but special nonetheless.
Seriously, man, and he got that dog in him, like like the dude will drain a J in your grill and then stand there and look at you. So the man's a dog, man, for sure.
Oh Lord, yeah. So we'll definitely see what happens with that. Man, if he keeps up this pace, then it shouldn't be a doubt in my mind. But this MVP race is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, we mentioned all the names and stuff like that. I think similar to the NFL, which we're about to talk about, I think the NBA is going to have a lot of parity in it this year, especially when looking at guys that are at the top of the food chain, talking about MVPs, defensive player of the years. I'm interested to see who the most improved player is this year. Like, it's going to be fun. The accolades and the awards at the end of the year is going to be fun because I really think you're going to see a lot of players make it difficult for who we choose for these awards.
Agreed.
But on to the NFL. This was a crazy ass week. It was a crazy week. So we had a few upsets, which I want to talk about. Obviously, we have our weekly recap, but I was like, we might as well just jump into these upsets ahead of time, talk about what happened, and then we can jump into our recap. But we had 3 games in particular that stood out. Obviously you have my Cowboys get ran on by Green Bay. Which I had to listen to.
It's good though. You know what I'm saying?
No, it is.
I think that you, and I'll touch on it a little bit maybe in our recap, but I think that the Cowboys and actually the Eagles, I think that they were good losses.
Oh no! Yeah, I don't know if you've seen. I put this, by the way. You guys know we have a big sports chat with us in the Rooted Sports community. But I think that they're going to get a chance, especially for Dallas fans. Any Dallas fans that are watching, you're not going to have to wait until fucking January to be upset. You're going to see you get a chance to see this team. This team gets to see their weaknesses right now. They're not getting smacked in the face in December, or in January, or in the playoffs where it's too late. They get time to address it and fix it. And the good teams fix it, and the teams that aren't good, they don't fix it, and they just don't make the playoffs. So this is a real put up or shut up time for Dallas. Even though they're well in position to make the playoffs, they could easily fall out of favor. But the 3 games, like I said, Dallas, Green Bay, Washington, Philly, who you just mentioned, and Minnesota, Buffalo. Now I called 2 of these.
That was a wild one right there.
That was a wild game. So let's jump into. As a matter of fact, let's jump into the Minnesota Buffalo game first. All right.
Okay.
I'll let you start. What were some of the things that you saw in this game and how it played out?
Well, first of all, for anyone who didn't see this game or didn't see the ending to this game, I'm just gonna jump right to the end of the fourth quarter. So we're within, I believe, within the last minute of the fourth quarter. So we got Minnesota at the Buffalo 1 yard line. And basically they got stuffed on fourth and goal, if I'm correct, right? Stuffed on fourth and goal. All right. Once again, now turnover on downs. Buffalo ball on the Buffalo 1 yard line. So, I mean, you think their idea, what they were doing was they were just trying to snap the ball and maybe, I don't know if maybe they were going to try to, maybe get a little bit of a quarterback sneak-ish thing for Josh Allen, or, just kind of get out of the end zone because there wasn't even really enough room for them to even take a knee. But, crazier, when they say crazier things have happened, this is what they're talking about. So Buffalo ends up fumbling the snap, and thus Minnesota recovers, gets a touchdown. They go up 3. Buffalo does save face, end up coming down, getting a field goal, sending it to overtime. Minnesota gets a field goal in overtime, and then on the ensuing drive, Patrick Peterson gets a pick in the end zone. He picks off Josh Allen in the red zone, and that's how the game ends in overtime. Minnesota 33, Buffalo 30. Couple things stand out here. Of late, Josh Allen is having a few struggles. Yeah. Let me get if I'm all right. Okay, yeah. He threw 2 interceptions in this game. Obviously the one I just mentioned in overtime in the red zone, As a matter of fact, I think he threw 2 red zone picks in this game. And I think
both to Patrick Peterson.
That's what I thought. Okay.
He reignited that man's career.
Both to Patrick Peterson. There's a stat that says he's thrown 4 red zone picks over the last 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think that you're finally starting to see for Buffalo the lack of a run game. Because in those situations, I think those could be really key situations where you want to be able to kind of hand the ball off and maybe, get those tough yards that you need. But instead, you don't want to continue rushing Josh Allen because they're going to get the kid hurt, And so instead, you see them maybe kind of forcing a few things, and Josh Allen made a few mistakes. As far as the Minnesota Vikings go, a really good game from Dalvin Cook. Man, I tell you, man, Justin Jefferson is amazing, bro. That dude is just. I don't have the words. He's on another level.
He is, and you know what? I love being proven wrong because I say this all the time. I thought Justin Jefferson was going to be a high-end number 2. I thought he was going to be like a Jarvis Landry. Right. There are days and times where he looks like the best receiver in football.
Bro, I think he has as legit an argument
as anybody,
or Jamar, whoever I think he has just as legit an argument as anybody. And yesterday he was making tough, timely.
The one
against the rookie. Come on, man. And that was the game. That was like 4th and 18 or something. That was the game. He doesn't make that catch. That's the game.
Ice water,
man. So and I'm gonna say this, they've been under the rate. This is probably the most under the radar 8-1 team we've ever seen. Like, nobody's really talking enough about them, but they're quietly chugging along, and they're winning close games. Now, one could say, hey, they probably should have lost this one. But, hey, on the flip side, you had a team just keep fighting and really be tough and just keep chugging along, keep playing, and good things happen. And so they, now here we are, Minnesota 8-1, and with the loss by Philadelphia, now here they are with an opportunity to possibly be a number 1 seed in the NFC. So, yeah,
man. I agree with everything. I think you kind of hit everything on the head of how that game went. I didn't doubt. I actually picked Minnesota to win this game.
I think did I? I think we both did.
Yeah, we both did. I picked Minnesota to win this game.
I wasn't sure if Josh Allen was going to be 100%. So I don't know if the elbow had anything to do with uh with his play yesterday. I mean, he still threw the ball 43 times. He had 330. So
And I'm gonna say this. That team is so careless in the way that they handle him. Your
Buffalo.
quarterback, oh my gosh. Your quarterback just had a UCL injury. He throws the football 40 fucking plus times. Runs the football
And,
almost 8 to 10 times. Now, granted, maybe
yeah,
running happened. Maybe, you could attribute running. It's just his natural instincts. But you're so dependent on him. I'll be honest, man. I don't see Josh Allen lasting long in the league. I don't. I think his greatness is going to be short lived because the amount of punishment that he's taken is uncanny. I mean, I could honestly say it's funny. Remember we looked at the punishment that Ben Roethlisberger took 10, 11, 15 years ago, and we said, damn, man, this dude. I think Josh Allen is worse.
even, and I'm gonna throw another name out there, and maybe you can argue, he had his years, he was kind of up and down in his career, but Cam Newton is another one.
Exactly. And right, and which I think has a similar physical profile. Which I think if you look at Cam Newton, who first of all, Josh Allen's a big kid. I'm not taking anything with him. Cam Newton is freaking huge. They're the same. They're probably same height, but Cam Newton is a big guy, big broad shoulders. He's built like a tank. And even his body started to deteriorate after a number of years, and he wasn't able to do some of the things. So I think I'm confused. Maybe they're just on some, hey, like, fuck it, we gonna run him into the ground and use him while we got him. But I just don't see him last that long.
That's what's gonna happen too, man. They've got to find some sort of running game.
Yeah, and so that's what's gonna plague them. But as far as Minnesota. This Minnesota team is very well put together, man. They're flying under the radar, I think, because they're not flashy. The flashiest thing about them is Justin Jefferson, and even him, he's a hardworking guy. Dalvin Cook is probably having one of his better seasons in recent memory. He's managed to stay healthy, and defensively, I keep talking about it. That pass rushing duo with Daniel Hunter and Zadarius Smith is just treacherous.
Mm-hmm.
They still got Harrison Smith, the most underrated safety in NFL history. Harrison Hitman Smith, one of your Notre Dame guys. He is a stud. He continues to do big things, and obviously, I didn't think it possible, but Patrick Peterson has managed to kind of have somewhat of a resurgence since he's been there in Minnesota over the last 2 years. So, this was a fun matchup to watch. Once again, the outcome didn't surprise me. You just saw two really good teams go at it. Minnesota was able to edge them out and get the better of them, but it's because Minnesota is also built to close out games. So,
yeah, and obviously they got Dalvin Cook. They're able to run the ball.
Yeah, and the crazy part is, Dalvin Cook ran it so good this game. I didn't even see. I'm used to seeing Alexander Madison. I didn't see him at all.
Oh no.
I ain't see my dog at all. I'm used to seeing him get in on some, right? So yeah. So that was that game.
Huh? We're gonna go Cowboys, Packers, or Skins, and I mean
we might as well go in order because it was the Cowboys Packers was right after the Buffalo game.
Okay.
I had to. I remember I got into work. I had to put some Andrew Day on. I'll rise up. All right, so I had to get my head right. But you know what? Like you said, it was a good loss for Dallas. And I actually going into this game, I looked at Dallas and I looked at Green Bay, and I said that this was going to be a bad matchup for them on the ground, especially if Aaron Jones played. That combination of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon is just it's tough. It's tough to, especially for a team that's still patching up what they have to, how to stop the run and stuff like that. They were missing Anthony Barr in that game. But, you got to give Green Bay a shout out. They did what the hell they need to do to win that fucking football game. They game planned well for it. And for the first time, they did something that I haven't seen in a long time. And I said that this should have been their game plan coming into the season. They took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hand.
They did. I think he only had 5 or 6 passing attempts in the first half.
Yeah, they
They
ran the
really
football.
did. They
Yeah,
did.
they took the ball out of his hands. But that's how they're built. They're Aaron Rodgers is at that point in his career where is he still a great passer? Yes, he is. But based off of the talent that they have at the receiver position, use those running backs and let Aaron Rodgers do something that he hasn't done very much in his career. Let him operate off of play action.
Word.
But you could tell me, I'll finish up, but you could tell me what your thoughts were on this game.
So I got a couple things, and I actually have a question for you, but let me go ahead. First of all, I agree. I think Green Bay took advantage of what seems to be, if there is an Achilles heel in this Dallas Cowboy defense, it seems to be their run defense. And so Green Bay took advantage of it. Aaron Jones ran for 138. They had 207 rushing as a team. I want to say that I was so happy to see the game Christian Watson had. I felt phenomenal for that kid. You talk about a rookie wide receiver who's legit been all over the media for being in the doghouse since like week 1, you know. Mm-hmm. And even in this game, I think he dropped his first 2 passes in this game. Right. But it was like when he finally caught that first deep one, I think it was a 58-yarder for the touchdown. When he caught that first deep one, you can see it's almost like you could physically see so much weight being lifted off
off his shoulders, yeah.
And then he was off to the races. He had 4 receptions for 107. 3 of them were for touchdowns.
Randy Moss type shit,
right? And I mean, it just made my heart smile. I felt so good seeing that, and hopefully this kid can really take this performance and kind of rally around their performance and really just take off and take his game to the next level and continue to improve. As for the Cowboys, Dak turned the ball over a couple times in this game.
He did.
Wasn't necessarily his best game. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, this may be the best game I've ever seen CeeDee Lamb play.
Yeah,
like CeeDee, and I've had my doubts as to whether he's a true number 1 receiver, and I guess for me that's still to be decided. But if nothing else, he showed me Sunday that he definitely has the potential to be. Now, can he be consistent, and can he kind of can he slow down on the drops, because he does have a tendency to drop some.
He has an issue with focus drops, yeah.
But this was probably the best game I've ever seen him play, man. Big catch after big catch. On to my question, though. Mm-hmm. So, and you and I have been back and forth on this. So the last 2 games, last 2 games, so you just come off the bye week, I think. Last 2 games, there's been no Zeke. Mm-hmm. And in his absence, Tony Pollard has ran the ball extremely, extremely well. I know you've always been the guy that didn't think that he could be your number 1 back or an every down back. That's his performance over the last couple of games. Kind of, I know that you'll never give up on Zeke. I know how you feel about Zeke. I know that
it's not about that. Okay, but go ahead. I'll let you finish.
But has Pollard's performance over the last couple of weeks made you kind of change your mind about him and who he is as a football player?
So, one thing I always want to clear up, and even Ron, he's not on here right now, but one thing I want to drive home is that I think that he's shown a lot for me, not even just this year, but just over the course of his career. He's a better running back than what people kind of gave him credit for. When I watched this game, I think that even though Tony Pollard was very effective, he had some chunk plays. I think what you were missing with Zeke, and once again, let's say this is not Zeke. Let's say you take a player that can do some of the same things that Zeke can do as a power runner. I think you missed that knockout punch. Whereas with Tony Pollard, I think that the defense never really got worn down. I think they were able to, got off he got off some runs, but I think what you noticed in this game was that if Tony Pollard couldn't break for for 6 or 7 yards, it was like 1 yard or a 1 yard loss. Just
Okay,
because
so so
just because of the type of runner he is. He's not a I think he runs hard, but he's not a very like powerful runner. Like he's not going to wear a defense down. But when I talk about Zeke, one thing I want people to understand is I think that Tony Pollard, this is going to be crazy. I think the offense should be built around Tony Pollard's skill set. I think he should be the featured player on this offense. But I think that their strategy should be how can we protect him and keep him healthy so that we move him around. I think he needs more opportunity. I think he needs more opportunities in the passing game. I think this offense should be built around his skill set. So I'll tell you this: I've
kind of in
grown
like an Alvin Kamara role,
like
so
an
to
Alvin
speak.
Kamara role. Because if you recognize when they have other runners, they don't run Alvin Kamara too much. They say how can we maximize his skill set, and they don't run him 25, 20 plus games. It's not like right now. I think last week against Green Bay, I think Tony Pollard had 22 carries. I don't think for him, I don't think that that's sustainable. I think you want to keep him at 15, 14, maybe 3 or 4 receptions, and then keep it going from there. But I think the Dallas their strategy needs to be how can I keep this guy fresh? How can I keep him healthy? Because he's the most explosive, dangerous player on our offense. And I really do believe that. I think him and, CeeDee Lamb are right there as far as the most effective players on that offense. Zeke, at this trajectory of his career, and I think I can be honest and be transparent about this, he's a battering ram and he's a well-rounded player. He can wear defenses down and he can punish them. We all know what he is as a blocker. I think they definitely missed him in this game for that because they definitely threw pressures at him and at Zeke, and they did a lot of stuff, that unfortunately Dallas wasn't able to really game plan for or prevent. But that is my dynamic with Zeke and Tony Pollard. It's not a Zeke over Tony Pollard that he's just head and shoulders the better player. I think he's more built to take on that punishment. And if you're not going to resign him, run Zeke into the ground.
I guess my rebuttal is I know you say like Tony. I think in so many words you're saying that Tony Pollard isn't necessarily the guy that'll get you those tough yards.
He's not on a consistent basis. And if he does, it's gonna be at the sacrifice. It's potentially going to be at the sacrifice of his health because his game isn't built on that. His body isn't accustomed to that type of punishment and to that type of grind. Whereas Zeke can Zeke. We watch against factor this in. Zeke's not playing because he hyperextended his knee. In Detroit, they hit him low. He hyperextended his knee. He's so built for that type of tough game, playing hurt, playing injured. He comes back the next quarter and jumps over somebody. He's just built. He's built to play hurt. He's built to take punishment. Zeke's built for that. Tony Pollard's not built for that.
But I guess my rebuttal is I think over the last couple years, it's been so much of Zeke getting these tough yards, and I'm not sure if he's able. I don't think he has that pop anymore. I'm not sure if he's able to really get big plays anymore. Like I think we see a lot of Zeke, boom, 2 here, 3 there. I say this: if we see Zeke break off a 7 or 8 yard run, because of what we've been seeing from Zeke the past couple years, that's something to get excited about. Whereas Tony Pollard, I think, he's almost in that. For me, he's almost in that Saquon mode, so to speak, where
think so.
although I don't think he's the player Saquon Barkley is,
Mm-hmm.
but I think from the standpoint of at any moment he could break one, whether he's catching the ball out the backfield or he's running. At any moment he can break one. And I don't think anyone has felt that way about Zeke in a couple years.
And I'll agree with you on that about what Tony Pollard is capable of. But I think Skip Pete kind of put it the best way. He's their running backs coach. Mm-hmm. So he coaches both these guys. He said, when it comes to running backs, you have sports cars, and then you have luxury sedans. The sports car is fast. It's it's super fast. It can reach high speeds, but it doesn't last as long. The luxury sedan isn't as pretty, doesn't go as fast, but it can last a lot longer. Zeke was the luxury sedan. Tony Pollard in this metaphor was the high value sports car. And one thing he mentioned is this: what I'll try to explain to people when like when Dallas plays, when they have to play some tough team, there's going to come a time when they have to play some of these tough teams that are going to stop the run. When them holes get smaller, and I hate to say it like this, Tony Pollard's not the same player. His impact gets minimized. When you play, like I'll tell you this: if I'm a great defense, and you ask me if I'm a great disciplined defense, and you ask me what running back I want to play against, Zeke or Tony Pollard, I'm going to take Tony Pollard all day. He's not going to wear me down. He's not going to bully me. We're disciplined. So let's say he breaks loose. We're not going to let him break 3 tackles and rush for 30, 40 yards. And we can blitz. He's not going to stop us in that. Or it's not going to be as effective as Zeke. Zeke is going to block. He may get 1 or 2 yards, but you're going to feel that shit. And they're going to give it to you all game. After a while, you're going to be like, damn, I'm getting tired of tackling this dude. So when you've seen the tough games that Dallas has played, I would say example, just that we don't have to harp on this topic too long.
Mm-hmm.
The Philly game. When you watch that Philly game, Zeke looks significantly better than Tony Pollard. And it's not because he's at this trajectory, he's more talented, but for that type of game, when them holes are smaller and you're not getting them 7, 8, 10-yard rushes. And this time, and what I do is I call it big boy ball. It comes time you got to play big boy ball. I don't think Tony Pollard is a big boy ball type of player. I think he's a slasher. He'll break creases. He can go 0 to 100. He can turn a 1-yard carry into a 50-yard gain. That's who he is as a player. But I think when you get into those tough, grinded out, where you playing a defense that they're not giving up that 10, 15-yard shit, I think that's what you need Zeke for. And let's look forward. If Dallas moves off of Zeke this offseason, they have to bring another running back in. They have to draft a Bijan Robinson. They have to draft somebody to come in and be able to take those tough yards and take on that type of role, because I just don't think that Tony Pollard is that type of back. That's not an indictment against him, but go ahead.
So one more question, then we can move on to the Philly game.
Yeah.
So when Zeke gets back, how would you envision their touches going? Do you think that Zeke should still have more touches than Pollard? Or do you think they should try to be a little more 50-50-ish?
Well, they're actually as close to 50 as 50 you can get. But I think if you're going to give more carries, it's gonna be Zeke. But then here's the thing: let's say you're playing let's say you're a defense, and you're getting a drive full of Zeke. You're getting 5 or 6 carries of Zeke, which means even if you tackle him for 1 yard loss, you feeling it. Then they throw a Tony Pollard at you like, yo, like, what the hell is this? I wasn't expecting this. That is I think they complement each other so well in their skill sets, where Tony Pollard is this explosive guy, but Zeke wears defenses down. And that's something that when you've looked at any of the tough teams that they played, that's what Zeke was for. When they played against Tampa Bay week 1, you looked at that game, Tony Pollard really wasn't able to do much. I think he only had 3 or 4 carries for 8 yards. The creases were small, and he's not a real big guy, so he rushing through the yard. Let's be honest, you're a Vita Vea, you looking like Tony Pollard. What are you gonna do for me? Throw him down. Zeke had 10 carries for 52 yards. And if you watch Zeke, he's getting 2 or 3 yards after contact, just spinning off. He's a bigger body. So I think they keep the same formula. But my thing is, and this is my frustration with Kellen Moore, why is Tony Pollard he was a wide receiver by trade. There is no excuse based off of the wide receivers that Dallas currently has on their depth chart why Tony Pollard shouldn't be getting reps at wide receiver. There's no excuse. So to me, you need to say, how can we build this offense around what he does well? And I think that that's where they need to approach it. But don't run Tony. Tony Powers is Dallas's most explosive weapon. Don't run that guy into the ground. Don't ask him to do something. Don't ask him to be something that he's not. He's not a 20 plus carry guy. He's a 14 carry guy, and I think he's a 15 to 20 touch guy. But 20 carries, come on, man, don't get hurt.
Not consistently, not on an every game.
No. He can do it a game or two, but you don't want to ask him to do that. That guy's body's not built for that.
Okay.
But
all right.
But yeah, great game. I was pretty upset, because I lost some money.
I could only imagine.
I can only be right. But once again, I think you have to give shouts out to Green Bay. They had a great game plan. And Dallas they're able to identify some of their holes. And I loved Micah Parsons and his intensity and what he did. He kind of called out guys after. I'll say this about Dallas's defense and we'll move on. I think that they're such an elite pass rushing unit, which, by the way, they're going to be a 50 sack team.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't
easily.
They're
going to easily. I think that they're so great as pass rushers that they've kind of fallen into that mindset where it's all we got to do is make these 2 stops and they're going to throw the football. And I think that that's the thought process, the thought pattern that they got into. Because even if you look at Dallas last year, they weren't this bad against the run.
True.
So I think, but also they weren't this great at pass rushing. So I think that they've kind of gotten to that mode. But I look for Dallas to use Micah Parsons more as a linebacker, which they should. He's a linebacker. And they'll be able to make some improvements. They don't need to be great at stopping the run. They just need to be average. If they can be average, they'll be okay.
I agree. We'll see what happens though. Like I said, it is a good loss for them. Mm-hmm. It gives them opportunity to go back to the drawing board and really try to figure some things out. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you got Minnesota coming in next week, correct?
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you this: Dallas has a murderer's row of runners. Yeah. They got Dalvin Cook next. Then I want to say after
Tennessee
that,
or something's coming up, right?
They got Houston with Dameon Pierce, who's running the thread off it. They got Tennessee. They got They got New York again with Saquon Barkley. They got to play Washington. They got to play Washington with Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson.
We seen how they just ran the ball last night and really kind of controlled the game.
So Dallas is going to get and they got to play Philly again. Dallas is going to get every opportunity to fix this. Either they're going to fix it or they're not going to make the playoffs.
And there it is. On to the next game, or the last game we was going to kind of chime in on as far as our upsets go. And this one was actually played last night with the Washington Commanders coming out on top 32-21 over the last undefeated team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Although you picked this, I will say that this one was a little bit of a surprise for me. I'll say this. I'm not, and this is not why they lost. This is not why they lost. However, in this game and in a few games this weekend, there was some questionable calls and or none calls. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And
we aren't like dead ass really should have made that a segment because this officiating has been terrible. But I don't want to get fined.
Absolutely, bro. Officiating's been.
I don't want the NFL to boycott Rooted in Sports. So
word. But with that being said, I mean, the Eagles did not play their best game. This is something. I think this loss, if you kind of watched them, not that they've been playing terrible. Obviously, they were undefeated, but you could kind of see, okay, there's some little weaknesses here. There's some little weaknesses there. They're another team who doesn't quite stop the run as well as you would think with the front four that they have. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jordan Davis has been out. But
even with Jordan Davis, they weren't a great run defense team.
And I mean, it's being proven. They gave up 152 yards yesterday. And Although Washington only rushed for 3 yards a clip, they ran the ball 49 times, and their runs were timely. They came up with timely runs.
They
They
did.
picked up those third and shorts. They continued to just move the ball and keep the chains going and control the clock.
Mm.
That's what they did there. And so, and I think you mentioned this before. Taylor Heineke. I know I'm saying his name wrong, but anyway, he's not gonna blow you away, but he's gonna be steady, and that team believes in him.
They fucking love his dirty draws.
They do, man. And I think Rivera came out today and said he's not sure, where he's gonna go with Wentz coming back healthy, but I think he has to stay with Heineke.
He'd be absolutely ridiculous to go back to Carson Wentz.
He has to stay.
And the crazy and here's the part: Carson Wentz, from a talent standpoint, is head and shoulders better than Taylor Heineke, but he is not the leader that he is.
It's those other intangibles. He just
doesn't
have them. He's never had them.
He never has.
And I was so big on Carson Wentz at one time, but as his career progressed, I mean, when you start to see and hear the same things in multiple locations, it's like, okay, bro, it might be you, bro. Maybe talent can only get you so far. And now on the football field, the talent isn't you. Now you're looking at a guy who you might get a good Carson Wentz game, a throwback Carson Wentz game, maybe twice a year, where you're just like, oh, okay, that go that dude from 2016. There he is, right there. You know what I'm saying? So, and then one last thing I wanted to say, and this is another reason why I thought this was a good loss for Philly. I listened to them post game. In particular, I listened to Nick Sirianni and to Jalen Hurts. And to hear the way both of them just took accountability. Both of them just went up to the podium and they said, hey, we did not play our best game today. We weren't on our A game today. Jalen Hurts even kind of alluded to the fact that, if I'm being quite honest, there were a few things that we hadn't tightened up yet from some of the previous games, and it finally came back to bite us today. But hey,
and I'm glad,
we're gonna take this one on the chin. We're gonna go back to the drawing board, and we're gonna come back stronger from this. And I loved hearing that from him.
And first of all, I'm very high on Jalen Hurts. Even though the Cowboys guy in me hates the Eagles, but Jalen Hurts is such a high character guy and a great leader. But I'm glad he said that, because that's the God's honest truth. It's not that Philly. This doesn't change anything. Philly is still a damn good football team and a Super Bowl contender. Let's not change that.
And I hope that people don't get this loss misconstrued, because they are still a really good team.
No, not at all. You shouldn't get it misconstrued. But I'll say this, and this is the reason why I picked Washington in this game. We have to start looking at matchups and not looking at brands. Because Washington matches up very well with them. And you could argue that if they have a more talented quarterback than Taylor Heineke, that this loss could potentially be a little bit better, a little bit bigger, right? The point differential. But Philly as a team, if you look at them throughout the entirety of the season, first of all, they're a first half football team. They jump on you in the first half and they hold a lead, and they're able to run the football. So they're able to dry out the time clock, and they play good enough defense that they're able to shut teams down.
I think this was the first game all year that they trailed at halftime.
And going into this was the first time. And this is something that's key. And I want people to, this has been 2 years. Jalen Hurts has never had a fourth quarter comeback in his entire NFL career. So I want people to look at that. This is not me. This is not to down Jalen Hurts, but I want you to understand that sometimes you're going to need a quarterback's going to need to come back and win a game. And unfortunately,
I think that can be a testament to there's no way you can look at him this year and not say that he has made substantial improvements throwing the ball, but there's still a limitation, a run first team. They're still a run the ball football team. And in those situations, a lot of times in those situations when you find yourself behind in the fourth quarter, you got to throw your way back into a game.
Exactly. And if things aren't pristine, if you don't get those right looks, then it's going to be tough. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I tell people. Philly, I think I said this on Rooted in Sports a few weeks ago. At some point, Philly not being a second half team is going to come back to bite them. And I think that's what Jalen Hurts was talking about. They're not a second half football team. They're a first half football team.
Yeah.
And the truth is they've actually struggled to stop the run all season. It's just that teams are just starting to realize, like, oh shit, we can run on them. You know, we'll talk about it in our predictions. I'm not saying they're gonna win the game, but Indy actually matches up pretty goddamn well with them.
Yeah.
Based off of what their strengths are, you know.
Yeah.
So
I guess I don't know. I can't even. I was gonna say, speaking of upsets, but the Raiders are just a fucking shit show. So
I called the Colts winning that game, but the Raiders are you know me, I fought for them and they let me down. But yeah, so we'll obviously talk about that pretty soon. But that's what you shouldn't think anything Philly, but I want people to understand is that Philly is 8-1. Are they a really good team? Yes. But they're not the juggernaut that people think that they are. I think that they're very efficient and they make the most of their opportunities, which good teams take advantage of their opportunities. But are they like a Kansas City?
Yeah.
AJ
Brown got a little banged up yesterday.
Oh, so, Dallas Goedert's hurt too. He's out for a few weeks.
Dallas Goedert's hurt too. So moving forward, it's really going to be interesting to see how things go from here.
So is AJ Brown supposed to miss time?
I'm not sure. I think they said it was like some sort of hamstring thing. I haven't heard any other update from it though.
If it's a hammy, good luck, because you know hammies linger.
Yeah.
But Dallas Goedert has a shoulder injury, has a serious shoulder injury that's going to keep him out a few weeks. So they're going to have to adjust. He's been their safety blanket, and honestly, Dallas Goedert can say that he's probably been one of the top 3 or 4 tight ends in the league this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're definitely going to miss him.
Yeah. So once again, that was a good game. Just talking a little bit about Washington. Washington did what they were supposed to do. They committed to the running game. Scott Turner, who, first of all, I always get surprised about these NFL lineages and NFL families. I know
he ain't related to Norv Turner.
That's his father.
Get out.
And when he said that, I said, "Oh shit, man!" And I love Norv Turner. I think Turner was a great coordinator for the Cowboys, but it caught me by surprise. But going back to Washington, they did everything that they were supposed to do. Defense played hard. They played within themselves. Offensively, I keep telling people, watch out for this combo with Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson. It's dangerous because Brian Robinson has become their hammer, and Antonio Gibson has kind of lightweight become like their, I don't want to say it like this, but
he's like the lightning to their thunder.
Yeah, but he's kind of been like their Alvin Kamara type of player. Mm-hmm. They move around because Antonio Gibson was a wide receiver.
Yeah,
he used to be a wide receiver. So they split him out. They let him play in the slot sometimes, and he's kind of like their X factor on offense. But so they're getting very versatile and creative of how they're using their players. They'll mix up Antonio Gibson and they'll watch this. Antonio Gibson might be in the slot and Curtis Samuel be in the backfield. So they're getting creative. But I'm just gonna say this. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Fuck it. Don't be surprised. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. But there's a very real chance that history is made this year.
All four teams are not getting into the playoffs.
Okay, the schedules.
All 4 teams are not getting into the playoffs.
Hey, listen to me. I did the calculations, and I looked at the schedule, and it's possible.
No.
Minnesota
wins their division. Tampa Bay is going to win their division.
Okay, and then Washington in their division.
I still think. Call me crazy. I still think San Francisco is going to come out on top in their division.
I don't think so.
And then I think Philly holds on for the NFC East.
Okay, watch this. I'm gonna tell you this.
And the 3 wild card teams are going to be Dallas, the
New
Giants, and Seattle.
But factor this out: somebody from the NFC West is going to be fighting with the Washington Commanders or whoever's in last. Let's say Dallas falls off in their last. Mm-hmm. They're going to be fighting with somebody from the NFC East from that last wild card spot. But here's the thing: Washington actually plays New York, the 49ers.
I'm not. They're not going to beat the
Hey,
Niners.
hey,
They're not going to beat the Niners.
hey.
And
I'm gonna tell you,
and supposedly Chase Young's supposed to be coming back this week. They say he's coming back to practice this week. Look, they're not going to be.
This one. Look. This is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Where I don't understand. I like this Niners team, but I don't understand why everybody's crowning them and they haven't. They're a 5-4 fucking football team for a reason.
I mean, that's true, but
they were healthy and lost to the Broncos.
This is true. This is true.
So I mean, people acting like
they've had some injuries here or there.
I'll tell you this: they're a team with potential and talent, but they're depending on two injury prone running backs in Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Deebo Samuel is looking like a shell of himself. I have him on fantasy. I'm thinking about benching him.
I was interested though. I was really interested to see, because I guess that was one of my things when they got Christian McCaffrey. I said, seeing the ways Deebo and how they get him the ball, I was see, okay, well maybe they can kind of get the ball in that manner, and I think it's backfired because they are finding ways to get Christian McCaffrey the ball. It's in turn taking away touches from Deebo Samuel, and as you and I both have agreed, Brandon Ayuk is the pure receiver.
But here's the thing:
Deebo's a better football player.
But this is my thing.
Deebo's a better football player, but Ayuk's a better receiver. So now you kind of
Deebo Samuel's getting paid $25 fucking million. Play receiver. You can play 24, 25 million per year. Grow up, play receiver, be a great receiver. I think right now when I look at the 49ers, and not to ponder on this too much, we'll move on, is that I think people are kind of crowning them a little bit too early, and they have a lot. They got a tough road ahead of them, and I'm looking at their schedule, and I can see them missing the playoffs. I can. I think that Seattle's going to win that division. That's just my personal belief. But once again, they play Washington.
Washington, you talk about a tough schedule though. Washington still has to play the rest of the NFC East.
Washington's not playing
Philly all over 500.
Watch this. Okay, watch this.
Watch this. Like you said, they got to play. I don't think they beat.
Watch this. Watch this. Just to factor this in, and let's not talk about the Niners, the world beaters, because they barely beat a bad Chargers team. Barely, right? So watch this. Just to factor in what the Washington Commanders schedule looks like. Play the Texans next. I think they'll win that game. They play the Falcons. I think they'll win that game.
It's going to be a tough one, but winnable.
They play the Giants twice. I think they'll win at least one. At least one. I think they'll win at least one. They have first of all, Washington has the 2 rush defense in the league. Okay. I don't know if people know that. They play the 49ers. I'm picking them to win that game. They play the Browns. I got them winning that game. And they play the Cowboys. I got them losing that game.
I see. They could possibly get to 8 wins.
I think they can be a 9-18. I seriously.
So you think they surpass? I'm sorry. You're saying that Seattle wins the West and that the Niners could possibly miss the playoffs.
I do.
I don't know about that one, man. We don't see, man. We might have to bet a 6-pack on that one now.
We can happily bet on that. We'll have to look at the schedule.
Bro. I think I think obviously Minnesota runs away with their division. I think Tampa Bay is going to win their division. I think Philly holds on in the East. I think San Francisco comes back, wins the West, and then I think Dallas is the 5th seed. The Giants are the 6th seed, and I think Seattle gets the last spot at the 7th seed.
Well, we'll see. But I just got Seattle winning that division, man. I just think Pete Carroll. I think they got the better. I think they got the best coach and the best quarterback in the division right now. But
Man, four teams. I got. We'll see, man. I guess I don't
they
see
can
them.
look. They can make history. Shit, look at them right now. But obviously, we'll talk more about that. Let's jump in. Let's jump into this damn recap and predictions for next week.
Yes, sir. We're gonna go on here, jump through this real quick. Are you getting it up?
I'm getting it up. I'm about to go ahead and
Cool. While you working on that though, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. We'll go back to the Thursday night game, which had the Carolina Panthers defeating the Atlanta Falcons 25-15. I think this one came as a little bit of a surprise to both of us. We both actually picked
pick the
Atlanta in this game, but Carolina came out. Um, I'm finna met Dante Foreman, 130 yards
mhm.
rushing. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what they did. They really came out and they did their thing on the ground, rushing the ball. PJ Walker had 16 attempts, only threw for 108 yards. He didn't turn the ball over, and that's really what it was. They ran the ball and they played good. And Carolina still has a respectable defense. They
Mm.
came out, ran the ball, played good defense, and they came out and beat. And although they're under 500, they beat a. This is a really good win because this Atlanta team is a hard playing team. And
Mhm.
yeah, they came out and got the win, man.
I know. I agree. Atlanta was able to, or Carolina was able to kind of get one in. Atlanta's so damn disappointing, man. Because I honestly, man, I think the Marcus, you know what you have in Marcus Mariota. I think it's time to go ahead and switch to Desmond Ritter, and possibly
Mm.
it's so bad. I bench
Okay.
Kyle. See, I said until Desmond Ritter becomes a quarterback, I'm benching Kyle Pitts because I just don't
And
believe
I
in
was
Marcus
I was
Mariota playing
just
football.
I was just gonna say
I lost a lot. I lost a lot
it's
of fucking games
early.
because of that.
I mean, granted, this is what his second year. Don't be surprised if they look to move off of him. Don't be surprised if some team in the offseason
What
comes calling about him.
I mean, because it's almost like if Arthur Smith, if that's the type of offense that you run, why did you draft him?
Yeah.
For what? So yeah, so I definitely made that move. But once again, good game. Unfortunately, the Falcons weren't able to capitalize or really get much of anything going on offense, and the Panthers just took advantage. But we got the Seattle Tampa Bay game. I know me and you was kind of going back and forth. I picked Seattle. You picked Tampa Bay. Really, actually, a really competitive game, and I don't know if you watched the fourth quarter. It was really exciting.
Yeah, I know Tampa. I think Tampa was up like 21-3 or something. And Seattle made a hellacious run,
I'm,
made it a game.
I'm gonna say this, man. No, Smith is like that, and I was looking at some of these throws that he was making, and I'm like, this dude been in the lab. He's really worked on his game. And to tell you the truth, they weren't that far away. I think they just ran out of time. But what caught them off guard, I think, why Seattle lost this game is because they wasn't expecting Tampa Bay to really have much of a running game, which is what kind of carried them through. Rashad
Yeah,
White was able to kind
Rashad
of get some
White.
things
Yeah.
going. Leonard Fournette broke off a few runs, but he wound up ultimately getting hurt. And then that
Mhm.
unlocking that play action, that's music to Tom Brady's ear. Once you can get some play action going for him, he could do that shit in his sleep. So
Mhm.
that's
Had a,
ultimately
had
what
a
won the
little bit of a Julio Jones sighting.
little bit, right?
Finally,
Exactly.
finally, finally got involved, got a touchdown. So
And I'll say this defensively, a defense that has kind of been struggling against the run as of late was able to
they
really
stopped
bottle
it
up
on
Kenneth.
Sunday. Yeah, they did.
Exactly. They was able to slow up Kenneth Walker. So that's what ultimately won them that game. But Seattle, I'm going to tell people they're going into a bye week. Seattle is they're a dangerous team right now. And it's just because they're so confident in who they are. They're very self-aware as a football team,
Hmm.
and they don't get too highs on the highs or too lows on the lows. So I keep telling everybody that's buying high on San Francisco, this San Fran team is tough. And
Seattle.
I said San Fran, this
Yeah,
Seattle team, right? This Seattle team is tough,
but
and they're not.
I'm sorry. I was going to say on the flip side, Now here we are after some struggles. We've seen Tampa Bay, who's also going into a bye week, run off two tough victories, but victories nonetheless that were needed, and now they get to go into a bye week and try to figure something out offensively, because offensively they still haven't looked like the Tampa Bay that we've seen over the past couple years with Tom Brady. So they get to go
You
into a bye week feeling kind of good, still at the top of a weak division, and figure some things out.
you want to hear something funny?
What's that?
Their division is so terrible that Carolina has a shot.
Oh, they do.
Carolina
They
has a
legit.
shot, and I
They
love it for
legit.
Steve.
All
Watch this.
of them do really.
Watch this. And I love it for Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
I would
Because they've
love
been
that for
playing
Steve
hard.
Wilkes.
Not to get too far off topic, but if you've been watching since Steve Wilkes has taken over, they've been playing respectable football. And actually, I think they're gonna go back to. I think PJ Walker got hurt a little bit or whatever, but they're supposed to be going back to Baker Mayfield. So we'll see what happens.
So fuck Sam Darnold, huh?
Oh yeah, USC who?
Man, I'm like, they doing this like that? But no, honestly, whatever works for him. I mean, hopefully, I hope PJ Walker. I was loving what I was loving what PJ Walker was doing for them. But
Yeah,
either way, they're playing real hard. But Tampa Bay, I think they're in a good place because I think that they are, although they got some bumps in the road. If they can continue to make the strides offensively, they can get a little bit better offensively, they're going to run away with that division. That's just because everybody's so young and unstable. But Tampa Bay is experienced enough. They have veteran guys. They have guys that know what it's like to win big games, that they have a shot to get some things. So, yeah. I mean, exciting game. Tampa Bay was able to get possibly a season-changing win. If the Rams game wasn't that. And we're talking about the 49ers. They play the 49ers. It wouldn't surprise me if they beat them too.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then we already talked about the Minnesota Buffalo game. Obviously, we know the Vikings were able to kind of pull that one out.
Yeah.
And then
let's just go to the next one, man. Let's just go to the next one, man.
Yeah, we got the Lions. Oh, he said, let's just go to the next one. So we got the Lions and the Bears. Tell you the truth, I picked Chicago in this game. Obviously, I think Justin Fields.
And they had this game.
They did. But can I say this?
Go ahead, man. Before I tear off.
First of all, I was impressed by both teams because I think both teams are building right now.
Yeah.
But I've been high on this Lions team all year. I have. They're probably one of the best 3-win teams I've seen in a while at this trajectory of the season. They're talented. They have some guys on offense. Amon St. Brown, he's a stud.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. We talked about this not last week, but the week before. Jamal Williams is taking DeAndre Swift's spot.
And that's crazy, man, because I love DeAndre Swift, man. But I think that I'm not sure if he's 100% from that injury yet. But even if so, Jamal Williams is coming.
But he's not. The thing about DeAndre Swift is not that he's not talented, but he's not durable.
And I think if you were watching them, going back before the season started, if you were watching in Hard Knocks for
Jamal Williams is their leader.
Second year. I think this is his second year, right? And he is unquestioned a leader on that team.
He is,
and that speaks
emotional. Yeah, that speaks volumes. Yeah. So,
okay, let me.
Go ahead. Talk. Talk. Look. Talk like I was talking about the Cowboys. Tell me. Talk to me.
I'm gonna run off a few numbers for you. Okay.
All
right. This is, first of all, Justin Fields is the first quarterback since I think it was 1951 to rush for over 140 yards in 2 consecutive games. Okay. Justin Fields, for a quarterback, he is 6th in the league in rushing. He's 6th, right? The Bears have run for at least 250 yards 5 consecutive games. That hadn't been done since pre-merger days. And they have one win to show for it. This is the first time. This is the first time in NFL history where a team has scored at least 29 points in 3 consecutive games and didn't win the game. If you would have told me before the season that we go on a stretch where we're averaging 29, 30 points a game, I'd have said, hell, I know we winning. I know we're coming out of that stretch with a winning record. If you'd have told me we have 5 consecutive games where we rushed for 250 yards, I would have said we won every game. We have one win to show for that.
But you know what? You guys are showing progress. The Bears are showing progress.
But I feel like this is why it's so tough. We've let go of our 2 best defensive players and our defensive leader, one in Roquan Smith and one in Robert Quinn.
Rightfully so.
And I mean, the writings was on the wall. It was going to happen. And I understand the moves. But I guess as a Bears fan, it's just heartbreaking because as a Bears fan, we haven't been able to see our Bears move the ball like this in forever. We haven't had a single player who can ignite an offense or who we can be excited about like this in forever. We have never, in the history of the Chicago Bears franchise, we have never truly had a great or franchise quarterback.
And I think Justin Fields is becoming
that. It's like now we could be on the cusp of that.
So I'll say this. When I see the Bears, I get afraid for next year. And it's just because I feel like what they're building, they're a few pieces away. I think they can be very competitive next year. I think that I think they're going to win as many games as they can win this year. I think you guys would be a 6 to 7 win team this year, which I think is progress. But with this Bears team, I don't want to say you have low expectations, but I think that you're just excited that they're looking like a competitive football team, that they can score points. And we're seeing the evolution of Justin Fields before our very eyes. Don't get me wrong. I love the running stuff, but I think that as they continue to add weapons around him, I want to see him do a lot more as a passer because we've seen what he's capable of as a passer.
And I think he will. I really think he will.
But this is a tough football team. And what it is the Bears just played another tough football team. The Lions are tough, and they've lost a lot of close games. They lost a close game to Philly.
Yeah.
Think about that. So they got edged out by a really, really confident, scrappy team in Detroit. But once again, we'll go into predictions, but I got the Bears winning next week. I just think that they just ran into the divisional rival, and then they just made, they had one mishap, which was the pick six to Jeff Okudah.
And once again, this goes to, I think what I love the most about Justin Fields is that the kid is tough. Mm-hmm. He's tough. He throws that pick six, makes it a game again. He comes right back the next drive and goes on a 60 some yard run for the touchdown.
You want to know something crazy?
What's that?
I remember evaluating the quarterbacks in the 2021 draft, and everything that I said about Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields is. Everything that I said about Trevor Lawrence, he's tough. He can handle the ebbs and flows. That's what Justin Fields is. He went to Chicago and didn't have shit around him. He went to a really bad situation, and he's weathered the storm. And now you're starting to see a lot of those things coming to fruition, slowly but surely. But I think I'll be honest, man. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm just sitting there rubbing my hands together, like, man,
Oh yeah,
shit.
yeah. I am excited, man. I'm excited to see what we're gonna be able to do in the draft because we I think we got about 9 picks next year. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what between the trades for Roquan and the trade of Robert Quinn. I think we got about 9 picks this year. So I'm really excited to see what we'll do in the draft next year. Really excited about Justin Fields. Hopefully we can get some weapons. We seem to finally be getting Cole Kmet involved in the offense a little bit. So
I picked him
definitely
up in fantasy.
some things to be excited about, man. But
I know
we
you
ain't gonna
seen
spend
that.
too much time. Yeah, we ain't gonna spend too much time on them, though, man. Let's get on to this next game.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Um,
So, Broncos Titans. I mean, this was. I mean, we don't really got to ponder much on this one. I think this is just a game. You know what the funny part is? I think that the Titans continue to show. I forgot who I was arguing with. Somebody was trying to push back. Dude, Mike Vrabel is a top 5 coach in the league, and can no one tell me different? Because this Titans team is missing so many key pieces from Harold Landry. They lost AJ Brown in the offseason. They lost Ryan Tannehill for a number of games. They don't really have anybody at receiver. I know Nick Westbrook was able to kind of have a big game, but
mhm.
they just find and manufacture ways to win, and they play tough defense. And I
And
think
this
that
was
that's
really this was really a game with Tannehill kind of won this game for him because they had Derrick Henry really bottled up. You know what I'm saying? He
yeah,
rushed
yeah,
for about 50 yards. He rushed for
yeah.
53 yards. He only averaged 2.8 yards a carry. This was
So
really a game Tannehill went out and won.
exactly. So that's what I tell people about this Tennessee team. They're very resilient, and I think that it's time that people maybe we're not talking about them enough because it's more flashy teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's time that people put some respect on Mike Vrabel's name. He's like
Yeah,
that.
he
He's a
did. He's
he's
done a
a
great.
great
This is
coach.
a great coaching job this season from him. A great
You
coaching
guys
job.
look. I'll say this: this isn't a 6-3 team.
No, no. Oh God,
No,
no,
this isn't a
no.
6-3 roster.
Mm.
This is a 2 and this is
On the flip side, right?
yeah.
And I heard someone say this, and I had to take a step back, and I had to say, you know what? You are absolutely right. And we talked about how disappointing the Las Vegas Raiders are, and I'm sure we'll stop in on that game in a second. I'll tell you what, I would still rather be a Raiders fan than a Broncos fan right now
Oh, they're in a terrible position.
because this, I mean, this is just bad. At least, with the Raiders, they've given up 3 leads of at least 17 points or something like that this
Mhm.
season. So I mean, it's been there for them. Like, I don't even know where to begin with these Denver Broncos. They've never even met the expectation. Like, we've never even seen them play at an elite level. At least we've seen glimpse of the Raiders play at a level that we thought they would. We've never even seen this Denver Bronco team at that level. This Russell Wilson signing has been a disaster. It looks like Seattle won that trade far and away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, once again, you got to feel better as a Raider fan than you do as a Bronco fan right now. Because I mean, this is bad, bro.
And that's what I told people. I said and as a matter of fact, do they play next week? They might. I think they play next week. I'll check.
Denver and
I think they. I think
obviously
they.
we're gonna get to it. We're gonna see.
We'll get to it. But yeah. I mean, I say all that to say, man. You know, the Broncos have struggled. Definitely one of the more overrated teams coming into the season, and none of those things have come to fruition. But I mean, watch them. They'll clean house. They'll fire Nathaniel Hackett. And they just re-signed Russ, so they're stuck with him.
And
So
maybe that'll help. But I mean, I do think Nathaniel Hackett has to go. And I think that they have to get a more. I don't even think they can go young. I think they have.
They have to get experienced
guy. Maybe a Dan Quinn. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. I know you hate to see it, but maybe a Dan Quinn. But either way, they have to get an experienced, respectable guy in there. Russell Wilson, man.
Look,
barely completed 50%. He was 21 of 42. He completed exactly 50% of his passes, and he still had 2 turnovers. He threw a pick and he lost a fumble. Like he just has not had the impact on this team that everyone thought that he would. It's been a really disappointing season for him.
They gonna
And
get
for the
Kellen
team
Moore.
as a
Watch.
whole.
They Kellen Moore. Watch.
I just don't know I don't know if you let Nathaniel Hackett go and then you go back and get another first time head coach, I just don't know how that's received.
But Kellen Moore is a more watch this, and I'm critical of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is more accomplished than fucking Nathaniel Hackett.
I feel you, and I agree with that. I think they have to go. Me personally, I think they have to go with someone that has some sort of head coaching experience.
Well, we'll see.
That's why I said
I agree.
Maybe a Dan Quinn. Now I could see them going offensive route, so maybe they.
Hey, look.
I don't know. Does the enemy finally get a shot, or does does Leftwich finally get a shot? If you go first time guy,
Hey, Swan, they gonna hire Marvin Lewis.
Hugh Jackson, bro.
Oh my Lord. Marvin Lewis, boy, man, that dude came in a playoff game to save his life. Another story for another day.
Man, but we do agree that Nathaniel Hackett's out.
He's done. He's done. But here's the thing: something has to change, and he's gonna have to be that change. So I feel bad for him and his family because they're gonna have to move. But
yeah,
but you know what? He'll find work. He'll find work.
But as far as the head coach, he wasn't ready. And as you've always said, some guys are just better suited as coordinators.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So we got Jaguars to move through it. We got Jaguars, Chiefs. This should be short. We kind of expected this. The Jaguars put up somewhat of a fight. But Patrick Mahomes, he's
at the top of my MVP leaderboard right now.
As he should. Can we say this? The Chiefs are so good that we're numb to how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like they beat granted, this wasn't a slaughter, but they'll beat the shit out of teams and we'll just be like, okay.
Yeah. And
like that's how good the Chiefs are.
All-time great coach. It seems like so long ago when we were worried about the loss of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, you just don't on any given, he's just gonna spread, Mahomes just gonna spread the ball around. Whoever's open, this is a great team. And they're gonna be okay for years to come.
They are. And it's like they're reloading. They got some young guys now. I picked up Kadarius Toney in fantasy too, so watch out.
And at this point in the season, I think they're clearly the best team in the
NFL. And in the NFL.
Yeah,
and to tell you the truth, they're actually probably one of the more well-rounded teams. They can run the football. They can throw.
Yeah. This
Patrick
kid Pacheco
is great.
And wasn't Pacheco a 7th rounder?
Yeah. Pacheco was a pretty low round draft pick. But I mean, man, just look at what they're doing, man. Defensively, they're respectable. They can stop the run. They can rush the passer. Like, I mean, this is probably as complete a Kansas City team as we've seen in years past. So I'm excited for them. On the Jacksonville,
I was just want to say on the other end, Trevor Lawrence didn't have too bad of a game. So maybe this is something he can build on. Threw for 259 off 29 for 40, 259 yards, threw two TDs. Not a bad game. Maybe it's just, something that he can build on and maybe finish out the season strong.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, completely. No, I agree. I mean, they made some strides, and obviously he was able to get Christian Kirk involved. Nine receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I mean, Jacksonville. I think I want to say they show as much promise as what Chicago has shown, but they're a team that's just kind of building it brick by brick. And I think as long as Doug Peterson can make it out. First of all, we've seen Doug Peterson build a team before. Philly wasn't nothing before he got there. He got there, they gave him the players, the pieces, and built that team up and won a championship. So I think I think he can do some of the same things in Jacksonville, but it's going to be a year-to-year process. And they're going to have, and Trevor Lawrence, unfortunately, maybe he reaches it eventually, but he's not the phenom that we thought he was in the league. So you just kind of got to temper your expectations. But Yeah, they gave a good valiant effort. So then we got the Dolphins and the Browns. I don't think anybody is too surprised by the results
Not at all. Not at all.
because the Dolphins are a very explosive team. Tua, surprisingly, has put itself in MVP conversation. Jeff Wilson Jr., who I think the 49ers are dumb for trading because he's a very durable running back and pretty effective. He had a big game. And I mean,
Him
man,
and Mostert. I mean,
yeah,
let them both go.
yeah, so it's just pretty good. And I think for Cleveland, they're showing what their limitations were.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that this wouldn't be a very great football team. They have some young talent at key positions on defense, but they're not at that place yet, and they don't have enough to where they could carry a team. Running game, I think that teams have kind of teams sell out to stop Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb can only do so much. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just be realistic. He can, but you can't expect him to take 25 to 28 carries every single week for 130 yards. I think that's kind of unfair to him. Jacoby Brissett has his limitations, and the truth is the only receiver they have respectable is Amari Cooper. And the truth is you're playing against the Dolphins or any team you play against, he's going to draw a team's best corner. And I mean, a lot of times I'm not saying he's not good because he's pretty damn good, but he can be had. So you saw a little bit of that today, and you saw a Browns team that, even though they tried to put up a fight in the grand scheme of things, they look kind of toothless.
Yeah, they were just overmatched. I actually, if I'm not mistaken, I actually have Tua third on my MVP list. I think
Fair enough.
I think I have Mahomes. I think I had it Mahomes. I think I had it Mahomes, Hurts, Tua.
Fair
Um,
enough.
Tua has I'm gonna just say it. Tua has answered every question I had for him coming into the season. Granted, he has a legit track team around him, but I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you got two guys in the top 5 in receiving. Um, although they kind of kept Tyreek under control. He had 5 for 44. He still scored a touchdown, but Tyreek was on pace at one point. Tyreek was on pace for a 2,000 yard receiving season, which is absurd. You know what I'm saying? So and crazy enough, I think if he does get there, I think we might have to talk about him possibly in the MVP conversation as well. But yeah, I mean, Tua has answered every question that I had about him coming into the season. He's throwing the ball, he's getting it down the field, he's making accurate passes. Hopefully, they can just continue to keep him upright, keep him on his feet, because that's really a big thing. And then as for the Browns, I mean, like you said, man, Jacoby Brissett, respectable player, respectable quarterback, but he has his limitations. They can't continue to depend on Nick. They're gonna wear Nick Chubb down. They can't continue to just depend on him and give him 30 some odd, 25, 30 some odd carries every game. I am interested though because I think it's not this week. I think next week. I think this is the last Sunday before Deshaun Watson can play, if I'm correct.
Right.
So I think for them, it's just kind of getting things in order. And I think for this Cleveland Brown team, I think for them, what's important is to end the season. Can they build some sort of camaraderie? Can they get some sort of momentum going into next season?
Start building a foundation.
Yeah, with Deshaun Watson under quarterback in those last few games. So, yeah, that's it for that.
So we got Texans Giants pretty quick. I mean, Texans very try hard team, but the truth is not talented enough. The Giants just took advantage. Saquon Barkley is continued to be the flagger. Bell cow back that he's been all season. 35 carries, 152 yards and a touchdown. Daniel Jones protected 35 carries, man. Take him to the head. Daniel Jones played a pretty clean game. Didn't throw any didn't throw any interceptions. And Darius Slayton, who I know me and you have both been big on for the past 3 to 4 years, is kind of getting his time to shine as the guy once again under Brian Daboll, and I'm loving it. So I mean, It's not really. I don't really have much to say about this game. I kind of predicted this outcome. The Texans are a tough
Yeah.
team. They're going to fight you. They're going to punch you in the mouth. But the truth is, they don't have enough talent to finish games.
And that's it, man. They don't have enough talent. Love their running back. Love Damian Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Love him, and he's going to be a good player in this league for some years to come, and a nice piece for them to kind of hold on to, and maybe in the future, put some other surrounding pieces around them. 30. I mean, 35 carries for Saquon, man. That's. I mean,
That's
I
flag
guess at the end of the day,
flag carrier.
yeah. At the end of the day, you know what you're gonna get with this Giants team. They're gonna try to keep the game out of Daniel Jones's hands. They're gonna run the ball. Maybe that could possibly open up a little play action where they can take a couple shots, but they're gonna run the ball and they're gonna play defense. And if you would have told me this Giants team would be 7-2 at this point in the season, man, I would have bet my house. So yeah.
So okay. So there's obviously there's that game. We got Saints Steelers next.
Steelers.
I know I predicted this game. I had the Steelers
we
winning.
both went Pittsburgh. Yep.
Yeah, coaching wasn't pretty. Kenny Pickett made a few throws. Najee Harris had one of his better games. I'm not even gonna say much. TJ Watt is his first game back. He was able to make it back. Alex Highsmith had a pretty good game. The Saints are 2 sacks, right? The Saints are just extremely limited right now. All the guys that they thought they were going to be able to depend on, they're not able to. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the story of them. The Saints are another team that kind of got over-evaluated, overhyped coming into the season because of the big names, but it just hasn't transitioned into success. So, yeah, the Steelers just kind of did what they need to do and pulled this one out, made the stops on defense, and made a few timely plays on offense.
Yeah, New Orleans has some legit questions to answer in the offseason.
They'll draft a quarterback.
Oh, they have to draft a quarterback for sure. I just think that what's crazy is that although, as I've said, I still think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win that division. They're not at 3-7. They're still not out of the division, but they still have a chance, But with that being said, I mean, they got some decisions to make in the offseason. Things have not went as planned for them whatsoever. I think we both thought that they would be a little more competitive, especially defensively. But, I mean, the offense has been so anemic that there's just been a lot of pressure on the defense. Alvin Kamara, I mean, I can't think of one really Alvin Kamara game that he's had this season. Like he's
had about one or two, but I think that with injuries and the lack of weapons on the outside, and Mark Ingram, whether he's injured or just not the same, it's a different dynamic, and Alvin Kamara is forced to take on a bigger role than maybe he projected that he would have to take, or take on a bigger workload. So, right now, once again, they're just struggling as a football team. I'm not a big believer in Dennis Allen as a head coach. I think they need to hire an offensive guy, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think we both predicted this game to happen. So
yeah.
Not really much to say on that. But let's talk about this interesting game, Colts and Raiders. I actually projected the Colts to win this game. I mean, I don't think they're going to fire him. They're not going to fire Josh McDaniels, but this team is too goddamn
Mark
talented.
Davis just came out and gave him a vote of confidence, so they're not going to fire him.
They're not going to fire him. But by Jesus Christ, this team is too talented to be losing the games that they're losing.
Yeah, and you kind of seen I don't know if you've seen Derek Carr got a little bit emotional.
Oh, he cried. He cried
post game because he's seeing the same thing we see. This is an extremely talented team, and just being quite frank, like I said, they've lost 3 games this year in which they had at least a 17-point lead. And stuff like that is you got to look inside. You got to look in house. So now here they are sitting up at 2-7, and this isn't a 2-7 team.
No, it's not.
So yeah, man. Hopefully for them, they're gonna miss the playoffs. hopefully for them, they're another team that maybe they can figure some things out, get some things going in the season strong with a little momentum, and then maybe come back and turn it around next year. And then on the Colts side, really happy for Jeff Saturday. Really happy to see him get his first win. Um, Matt Ryan was behind center for this game. And solid game. 21 for 28, 222 in a TD. Jonathan Taylor was Jonathan Taylor, 147 yards on 22 carries. And yeah, man, I think this is what you're gonna see from this Colts team moving forward. A steady dose of Jonathan Taylor. Hopefully Matt Ryan can make a pass, pass or two here or there. And we'll see if Jeff Saturday can continue to build off of this win.
I agree. I agree. I mean, once again, I predicted this win. I just felt like the Raiders are struggling so much that they would lose this game. So, and the Colts is they have a good defense, and if Jonathan Taylor can stay healthy, they have a running game. So, pretty simple game. They was able to kind of take advantage of a team that's bad and struggling right now, and in the Raiders, and they did that. So I don't look at Jeff Saturday any different. I think he still has a lot of stuff he has to prove as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that I respect him for simplifying things. He came in there and he said, "You know what? I'm not even going to overcomplicate this. Matt Ryan, you're the quarterback again. We're not going to go
Yeah.
with Sam Ellinger." So very smart move. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
an older, more experienced guy, Vice really having to come up with a game plan and almost walk Sam Ellinger through it. Just go to the
exactly,
experienced guy and just, go for what you know.
exactly. So pretty easy game, entertaining. So then we got the Cowboys Packers. We talked about it already. We already know what
Yeah.
kind of happened in that game. Shout out to the Packers for taking advantage of the Cowboys and pulling out a win in a season, probably a season changing win. We got the Cardinals Rams. I'll just say this, not to even ponder too long on them. The Rams are done. They won't make the playoffs.
Oh,
We can go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah, they're done. Cooper Kupp is on IR by now. By the way, Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford is battling elbow injuries. The Cardinals, I will say this. You remember we talked last week about a Kyler Murray. I'm not saying he's better, but by Jesus Christ, that team had a different energy with Colt McCoy at quarterback.
McCoy.
And
Yeah.
it's not that Colt McCoy is more talented. We're not gonna say that. It's just that I think that he's more of a team guy, and I'm sure Cliff Kingsbury loved him because he followed his game plan to a T. And he put the ball where it needed to be. So just a really, I would say from a team standpoint, it was a plus for the Cardinals because I felt like they was just such a shit show as a football team.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely made some strides in that game. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying controversy. I'm just saying don't be surprised if they're not in a rush to get Kyler back because Colt McCoy is just a really big team guy.
Yeah. Yeah. To echo your point, the Rams are done. They're terrible. They're terrible this year. They are done. Cooper Kupp's going to the he's gonna have surgery. He's going to IR. They can
Is he done
cancel.
for the year?
They said he's going to IR, so that's
4 weeks, maybe.
That's at least 4 weeks. They said
But
he's
even
having
watch
surgery.
this, but even then,
if he does, why bring him back anyway?
I
They're
wouldn't.
not going nowhere this season. Why just go ahead, call it a year, get back to the drawing board, come back next year. You know what I'm saying? That's me if I'm them. You know what I'm saying? To the Cardinals, to your point, Colt McCoy is Colt McCoy is a serviceable quarterback. I actually like him. He's my second favorite Texas quarterback behind one Vince Young. But I loved Colt McCoy at Texas.
He's the best quarterback in Texas history
after Vince Young.
Before Vince Young.
Stop it. That man couldn't do what Vince Young did in that championship game if his life depended on it.
You better put some respect on Colt McCoy's name. Anyways, go ahead.
Anywho, but yeah, man. I mean, really solid effort, man. 26 for 37, 238 in a tub. Got D Hop involved, got Rondo Moore involved. So, yeah, man, it's this really good win for them. And I agree, there is no quarterback controversy, but they might not be in a hurry to get Kyler Murray back.
No, not at all. So, like I said, pretty easy going. We'll see what happens. I don't see either of those teams doing anything seriously. Neither of them are playoff teams, but at least the Cardinals were able to pull out a win. We got the Chargers 49ers, which was the Sunday night game. I mean, we can once again keep this one quick too. The first one, but you were seeing stretches of that game where the Chargers, even without some of their key players, were in it.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. I think that was a big game for Justin Herbert because I think that's the game where he shows what he's about from a talent standpoint. That I can carry this and make this thing competitive, even when I'm down to my number 4 and 5 guys. You're talking about Carter and Guyton and like just lower level guys, and Justin Herbert's making throws and making plays, and he's running the football. So I think that game was important for him from a confidence standpoint to show that I am that guy that can uplift and make the players around me better. But I mean, it's not to me, this game wasn't really difficult to assess. I think the 49ers just took advantage of an injured team. The Chargers play hard. And I'll tell you this, I got to give them respect. They made a lot of improvement on stopping a run. The 49ers didn't run crazy. This was a close game throughout. And they were just able to take advantage and make a few more plays and win the game.
Yeah, the Niners actually had to kind of make a bit of a comeback because they were down in this game. And the Niners actually had to make a little bit of a comeback to take the lead. I agree, man. And ironically, they said that Mike Williams and Keenan Allen should be returning back to practice this week. So hopefully for them, help is on the way. Because you're right, man. DeAndre Carter, Jesse Palmer, like they're down to fourth and fifth options, as far as their wide receivers go. So Austin Eckler, as great of a pass catching back as he is, he lifts him in receptions. So we'll see what happens once they get back healthy. I still think it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a little bit of an uphill climb as far as the playoffs go because the AFC is loaded.
It is. Well, don't get me. I don't want to piss Bo off.
Baltimore is winning that division.
No, I'm just saying. I don't think the AFC is as good as people advertise it to be.
Okay.
It's not. It's not.
I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's just move on.
It's not. It's not. The NFC has better teams, and if you look at the top, save Kansas City, the NFC, if I'm not mistaken, has more 6-win teams than the AFC does.
Oh, be that as it may,
I don't think the AFC. I think the AFC has. You can say the AFC has the league's best team in Kansas City. I'll give them that, but I don't think if you're talking about from a widespread standpoint, I think that the NFC, the top teams in the NFC are better than the top teams in the AFC. That's my honest opinion.
And okay. Granted, Buffalo's having their struggles. I think Kansas City and Buffalo at their best are the two best teams in the NFL.
I don't think. I think people. No. I think people are starting to realize what Buffalo is. And although I like what Buffalo is, I think that they're very flawed. Are they a contender? Yes, they are. Because Josh Allen is so great, they got to be a contender, and they do have a respectable, if not great, defense. But I don't think that they're significantly better. Like case in point, I could see Philly beating Buffalo. I could see Dallas beating Buffalo. I could see the 49ers beating Buffalo. Kansas City is the only team in the AFC.
But all those are teams who are capable of running the ball.
Okay. So let's look at the NFC in totality. Watch this.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Look at the NFC playoff picture. Every team can run the football.
I mean, that's true, but do you think any of those teams at their best are better than the Buffalo Bills at their best? Now, honestly, everybody has a shot, with the exception of maybe the Niners. With the exception of maybe the Niners. And I'm sorry. I just think that the NFC may be a little deeper.
I'll tell you this.
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, you can You might
I'll
have to
tell you this.
question that because I
I
think
will.
Miami is better than people are giving them credit for.
I
I
will
think
tell you this. I'll be completely 100% honest. I think the only team in the AFC that is I hate to use the word unreachable, that you really have, that there's a real fear factor with, is Kansas City, because they're so well rounded. And they won that game against Tennessee a week ago, and I don't know if people realize how important that win was. What that win shows is that this is a different Kansas City team. They can not only can they beat you high flying, they can get in the mud with you and grind and wrestle and get gritty and get grimy and win football games. So to me, Kansas City's the only team in the AFC that can kind of walk around with their chest poked out, like, hey, we that guy. Buffalo has a lot of flaws. They can't run the football. They can't close out games. It's a fact. I don't even have to say this. If Buffalo's in a close game, there's a 95% chance that they'll lose because they can't close out games. And they got Josh Allen. Here's the crazy part. Josh Allen's playing hurt right now. And so I don't see Buffalo as the juggernaut that I once seen them as, because not only have they showed weaknesses on defense, but offensively, once again, they can't run the football. Like, I'll tell you this. I'm a Dallas fan. I think Dallas has flaws. Let's say Dallas made it to the Super Bowl. Big hypothetical, because they haven't done shit in 25 years. If they play Buffalo, thank God.
Say that
It'd be
you said if they play
Dallas.
Buffalo?
I thank God. It's the best matchup for them. You want to watch this? You want to know why? Because they gonna give them 30, 40 doses of Josh Allen passing the ball, and Dallas gonna eat that shit up. They're gonna be like, you mean to tell me we don't got to defend a run for 30, 40 times? We get to rush Josh Allen? Now, granted, he'll get some yards. But what I'm saying is I think with Buffalo, the difference between Buffalo and Kansas City, which has become apparent now, is if Buffalo goes to the Super Bowl, they need the right matchup to win. Kansas City is the only team in the AFC right now I can say can beat any team in the NFC right now. That's it. They're the only team right now that I can say they can beat any fucking team in the NFC right now. They're built for that. Buffalo's not. Tennessee is feisty, but you wonder what the limitations.
Yeah,
they have limitations offensively.
Yeah.
So if they get into a game where some people are able to score some points against them, what are they going to be? Right. So to me, I just think the NFC is better than the AFC at the top. I really do. But let's get in. Let's
guess we'll leave it there. We're gonna get into these predictions
and wrap it up. Yeah.
All right. FYI, you got me by one game last week. I was 8-6. You was 9-5. You got me by one game.
Come on now.
Let's see. All right, let's get into Thursday night game, which all of a sudden is a little bit of an interesting game now. We got the Tennessee Titans at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is actually favored by 3 points at home here. Who you got?
I'm going to take Tennessee. They can stop the run and they can run the football. So look for it to be a competitive game, but I'm gonna tell you this: Tennessee's like Dallas from 2018, where they were just scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas and Indy in 2018, where they're just scrappy, and they're playing those knockout, drag out 2-point wins, 3-point wins. Those are dangerous teams to play against. Because I like Green Bay, but I don't know if they're ready to get. I don't know if they're ready to get down and dirty with a team like that that at this point is accustomed to playing those type of games. I got Tennessee in that game.
I got Tennessee as well. I think this game will be low scoring. I think it will be a little closer. You know, Aaron Rodgers may make some throws, but at the end of the day, I just think right now Tennessee is a better team, and I just think the better team will win. So I'm gonna go with Tennessee. Chicago Bears at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta is favored by 3 at home. Who you got?
I'm going to take Chicago. I think this is a game where Chicago is able to close out. Now, granted, Atlanta's going to run that motherfucking football, and I hope they do. I got Cordero Patterson on fantasy. But I think I'm really we don't have to go down this road again. I'm loving the Chicago team. I think that they're really Luke Getzey is really I think that's the most beautiful thing. Seeing an offensive coordinator get more comfortable with their personnel. He's learning how to get Darnell Mooney involved a little bit more. He's learning how to get Cole Kmet involved a little bit more. Chase Claypool, as time goes on, will get more and more involved in the offense. You still got N'Keal Harry there. So, and then obviously we know what Justin Fields is doing as a runner. So I just have ultimate ability that Chicago is going to do everything they need to do to win this game. And I think that what they can provide you on offense as an exclamation mark, Atlanta can't give you. If it like Atlanta can run the football, but it's so up and down. And Marcus Mariota is so questionable, and he doesn't enough big plays.
I agree. I'm going with the Bulls. I'm going with the Bears as well. I think this is another game where we're successful running the ball. I think you're right. I think Atlanta is going to try to, run the ball a lot as well, which is why I kind of see a little bit of an ugly game. I don't think we'll reach that 29, 30-point plateau that we've been reaching, just because I think it's going to be kind of an ugly knockdown, drag out game. But
yeah,
I think ultimately we have the better run game, and I think we're a little more successful running the ball, and I think we'll win. But I think it'll be low scoring, maybe 17-10 or something. Mm-hmm. The Cleveland Browns at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is favored by 8.5 at home.
I'll take the points and Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. Just that simple. Yeah, this
not really complicated. Yep.
Yeah, that one might get ugly. We got the Philadelphia Eagles on the road at the Indianapolis Colts. Philly is 6.5-point favorites. Who you got?
Want to see me be an asshole again?
I had already wrote it down.
He knows me at this point.
I swear to God, I had already wrote it down. I already knew.
Yeah, I'm taking Indy. And I'm taking Indy on the upset, and it's just because they match up with them so. I'm gonna tell you guys want to. I'm gonna tell you guys something I enjoy. I enjoy mid-season, or where we're at right now, week 10, week 11, and you look at and you go back and you look at a team's record and you dive into some of those games. You're like, oh, god damn, I didn't know they was doing this. Yo, nobody is going crazy offensively on Indy. Their defense. I gotta give Gus Bradley his respect. He's still doing a really good job with that defense. They just have had some falters and they've had some turnovers on offense. But once again, they match up really well. They can stop the run well, and they can stop the pass very well. Stephon Gilmore has kind of been in his bag. And offensively, if they're able to run the football and Matt Ryan is able to make a couple of timely throws to Michael Pittman and Alex Pierce, please. I'm going to take the Colts on the upset.
I think the Eagles kind of flex their muscle a little bit on this one. I think it's a tough one. I think Jeff Saturday gets these guys ready to play. I think they do still find some success running the ball. But caveat, if A.J. Brown plays, I'm taking the Eagles. So stipulation.
Look, Stephon Gilmore going to be like.
Stipulation there if A.J. Brown plays. But I'm going to take Philly as for right now. All right, really interesting game here. The Jets coming off the bye week against the New England Patriots in New England. New England is 3-point favorites at home. Who you got?
I'm gonna take New England and take the points. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be competitive, but I'm very confident in what New England has built with their defense and their running game with Ramon Stevenson. And I think that Mac Jones will make a couple of times. It's going to be a very tight knockout, drag out type of game. But New England's built to play those type of games. I'm going to take New England, especially since they're at home.
Oh, man. I'm normally pretty big on teams coming off of a bye week. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think both of these teams are coming off of a bye week, though. Oh, this is a tough one. But you know what? I think I'm gonna ride with you. I think I'm gonna go with New England as well. I think Belichick comes up with a really solid game plan. He kind of stops the run. He makes Zach Wilson have to make a few throws, and He turns the
Pick.
ball over a couple times. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with New England. I'm gonna go with New England. Uh, this is turned into this game here done turned into a shit show. The L.A. Rams at the New Orleans Saints, and New Orleans favored by 4.
I'm taking the Saints.
I
We don't. Yeah, we
concur.
don't even need to go into that.
Yeah,
I just think no Cooper Cup, and we got a question. Matthew Stafford might not play that game either. They can't run the football,
yeah,
and
and he really has no rapport with no other receivers, even if he
he
can play.
doesn't.
So
He doesn't. He doesn't.
yeah,
So
I'm gonna go. But this is gonna be an ugly game though.
oh, it's gonna be ugly.
It 12-7 or something. But yeah, I'm going to New Orleans as well.
You said
Uh,
12-7. Go ahead.
Detroit
Like,
Lions at the New York Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites in this game.
I got the Lions. I think this is going to be a game where you see the Lions really start to flex their muscles. Jamal Williams will have a good game on the ground because the Giants have shown that they can be ran on as well. They're a good defense, but they can be ran on. And Amon St. Brown is a stud, man. I don't think people are realizing how good he really is. He's really good. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to give this guy his kudos because people shit on him sometimes. Jared Goff has been a very efficient quarterback for them. He hasn't always played perfect, but they have no, in my opinion, Detroit has no reason to draft another quarterback. Stick with Jared Goff. Stick with Jared Goff. Build, add talent, continue to build what you have right now. Jared Goff has been a damn good quarterback. He's been a very solid quarterback for them. So I'm going to take Detroit. Huh?
There may be a discussion point in the future.
Yeah,
But
we can talk about it.
You know what? I think I'm gonna take Detroit too, man. I think the Giants have a little bit of a letdown in this game. Yeah.
Oh, and before you finish, I'll say this. I want people to pay attention. Detroit, I don't know what the hell they did during their bye week or whatever, but they didn't tighten up that defense a little bit. It's not perfect, but they didn't tighten some stuff up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Detroit here as well, man. I think Giants have a little bit of a letdown. Detroit coming off of a real team building win last week. I'm gonna go with Detroit as well. Carolina Panthers at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 12-point favorites at home.
As much as I want to take Carolina, I'm gonna take the Ravens. They traded for Roquan Smith. They've kind of Justin Houston is kind of had a resurgent year so far. I think they'll win it, even if Mark Andrews is hurt or whatever. I just think they'll do enough to win it. This is what one isn't really that complicated.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens as well. Although I do think that Carolina makes this a game. Baker Mayfield will probably be starting for this game, and he's very familiar with those NFC. Oh my goodness, what would that be? The NFC South? Pittsburgh.
No, that is the
Pittsburgh,
AFC.
Cleveland, AFC. That's what I meant.
That is
AFC.
that is the AFC North.
AFC North, yeah, with Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore,
Yeah,
and Cincinnati. Yeah, AFC North. Baker Mayfield is pretty familiar with those teams, so I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and has a pretty solid game against those guys. But
yeah,
I do think Baltimore comes out on top. Washington Commanders at the Houston Texans. Washington is 3-point favorites on the road.
I'm taking Washington. I think that they're slowly finding their formula. Hopefully, they can continue to make improvements in the passing game. They're getting Chase Young back defensively. Look for him to mix in, and I think they'll start him out as a rotational guy, and slowly but surely ease him into starting again. But I mean, they're trending upward. I'm not saying they're gonna just win a ton of games, but I think that they'll win about 3 or 4 more games before the season's out.
All right. I guess my turn to be that asshole. I know I already picked one upset, but I'm picking another one. I'm taking the Texans.
Okay.
The Texans at home. Here.
Fair enough.
Get a sneaky win here. Another shit show of a game right here. Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Denver's favored by 2.5.
I'm taking the Raiders.
I really don't even want to pick a team in this game.
Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm picking the Raiders. This is the best. Look, this is the last they're gonna get from me. I said, look. After this, I ain't got no more. Hey,
Man,
look.
seriously, bro.
Hey, look, Swan. After this, I ain't got no more.
Look,
I,
I done gave to both teams. You know what I'm saying? I look.
I don't got no more
I,
fight in
I'm
me.
I'm gonna take the Raiders too, man. But Lord, they better not lose this game. All right, probably game of the weekend for me right here. Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. Dallas is a 1 point favorite right now, which is a little surprising to me. But they're a 1 point favorite right now on the road. Who you got?
So I'm gonna take Dallas, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a rough one. Um, but I will say this: I think that Dallas is gonna be able to challenge Minnesota's secondary in a way that they couldn't do with Green Bay. Um, Patrick Peterson, even though he got them 2 interceptions, I don't see one receiver in Dallas' secondary. Well, not one. If you're looking at the top two, I don't think that I wouldn't like the match. If I'm Minnesota, I don't like the matchup of Patrick Peterson on CeeDee Lamb or Michael Gallup for that matter. So I think this is going to be a game where you see Dak Prescott probably have one of his bigger games. Obviously, he's still kind of getting warmed up and getting his feet wet, but yeah, I'm gonna take Dallas. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be rough, but I think I'll take Dallas in a very close win.
Well, first, I had to check on the time of this game to see when it was being played. And seeing how it's a
120, 125.
seeing how it's a 325 start for me.
Right.
Uh it's not a prime timer. So I'm gonna
You
go
don't
with the
think Minnesota.
Vikings at
Take
home.
them.
I'm gonna go with the Vikings at home.
Take them.
This is gonna be a very, very entertaining game, I think, though. Really, real nip and tuck, man. But I'm gonna go with the Vikings at home.
Next.
Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincinnati is 4.5 point favorites on the road.
Cincinnati at what?
Cincinnati at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincy is 4.5 point favorites on the road.
I'm gonna take Cincinnati. Uh, Cincinnati and the points. I think that they have an idea. I think that they're going to do a lot more with Joe Mixon in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Find ways to spring him and use him in the passing game and in the running game. Yeah. I mean, I don't see any. There's nothing I see from Cincinnati. It feels like they're going to lose this game.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati. I believe they're coming off a bye week as well, so
They are.
they'll be back well rested. Yeah, I think they're gonna win this game. I'm taking Cincinnati. I take Cincinnati and the points as well. Cincinnati probably pretty big. Sunday night game, Kansas City Chiefs at the LA Chargers. Kansas City is 6.5 point favorites in this game. Who you got?
I'll take Kansas City and the over on the points.
Oh,
They're just a better team, more talented. Enough said. I don't even think this one is complicated because I think that if you look at the Chargers right now, they are so injured. They're so broken down right now between skill positions, receivers, and if we look at their defensive line, they're pretty banged up too. They lost Austin Bryant. I want to say they lost one or two other defensive tackles this past weekend, so they're very nicked up. So I can see this as a game where you see Kansas City really take advantage, possibly run the football and have a big day.
you know what? You're probably right, but I just feel like being a jerk. I think that they get one of those two wide receivers back, whether it be Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. I think that they get one of those guys back. They're at home. I think they come up with a really, really, really solid effort. And this is just the way the league is going this year. That just when you think you got a team who's setting themselves up above the rest of the pack, you see them go down. And so I think that not that I still think Kansas City is the best team in the league right now, but I think they have a little hiccup right here. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers right here. And last but not least, Monday night game, San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. San Fran is 8 point favorites in this game on the road. Who you got?
Part of me wants to take Arizona, but I'm gonna take San Fran just because I feel like Arizona's so limited. Defensively, more formidable than what I thought they would be. But offensively, it's very tough. And I don't know if they'll be able to get away with some of the things that they were able to get away with offensively against the 49ers. I'm gonna take the 49ers. I don't know if I'm gonna take fucking 8 points, but I think that they'll win this game.
I'm gonna take the Niners as well. I might even take the 8 points. I think they kind of get after Colt McCoy. Maybe he struggles if Colt McCoy starts. If they get Kyler back in, I'm not taking the points. But either way, I'm taking San Francisco in this game. San Francisco's the better team, and they're looking at an opportunity if they win this game because Seattle has a bye week this week. So if San Francisco wins this game, then they'll both be tied at the top of the NFC West, them and Seattle. So I think they'll take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah. Guess we'll definitely see what happens with that. Part of me is rooting for the Cardinals to pull an upset, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I don't see it happening. I picked quite a few
no, I
upsets
don't.
though, man. Man, I don't pick Detroit. I don't pick the Texans.
Yeah,
I don't pick
use
quite
me
a few
like use me
upsets.
an asshole today.
Yeah, I was acting up. Oh man, well, that
But
is that for week 11. Um,
yeah. As you guys can see, I got back on Elijah Craig, so I'm having a good day. Good night. I'm kind of buzzed.
and you know what? On that note, we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. However, as always, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. We appreciate everyone that will tune in.
Yeah.
We're right back here every Tuesday live, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube page at Rooted in it's just simply Rooted in Sports. Don't forget to follow the Instagram page, which is at Rooted in Sports.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow me and my Instagram handle, I Swan underscore 0623. Once again, that is I Swan underscore 0623. Go ahead and give me your Instagram handle.
And you guys can follow me at Tiberius519.
And it's spelled Tiberius is spelled just as you see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen here at Tiberius.
Tiberius519 on Instagram. Yeah.
There it is. Obviously, Rooted in Sports community every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time over on Twitter Spaces. Once again, that is the place, that is the outlet where it gets pretty freaking crazy in there. You know what I'm saying? We talk about a little bit of everything and it gets wild in there. So that is the outlet for everybody to join. And yeah, I think that's it. Did I miss anything? Anything you need to say, Kenny?
Nah, not too much, man. Check it. Tap in with us next week. Me myself, like I said, I'm working on the Rebranding podcast. Right, used to be the Break On Breakdown, but a lot of things are changing. New name, right? New everything. So stay tuned for that.
And there it is, man. Y'all be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes open for it. And until next time, people, much love. God bless. And we will see y'all next week.
Most definitely.